Hello, everyone, and welcome to the newest episode of I Never Knew podcast or Inc. by Life Coach Maureen. So happy to have all of our listeners here today. Our community is growing. I'm getting great feedback. We have all 5 stars, which is fabulous. So we want to grow this thing even bigger. So tell your friends, subscribe, all the fun stuff. That's the housekeeping stuff. Let's get that out of the way. I am Maureen Scanlon. I am a certified life coach, award-winning author, podcast host, and former codependent self-sabotager. And my guest today and I are going to discuss how we both were codependent self-sabotagers. So today I have such a beautiful, beautiful guest. And she's wearing hot pink. So if you're on YouTube, you can see her. If you're on audio, just trust me how cute she looks in hot pink. And her name is Christina Foxwell. She devotes her life to helping others find and follow their passions, transform their lives, and grow into the people they were always meant to be. Speak it, sister. Her life's journey began in Port Elizabeth, South Africa, and ultimately landed her in Sydney, Australia. Her road to where she is now was paved with hardships and turmoil. She experienced domestic violence, PTSD, and divorce before she found a path to healing and building a life of gratitude, forgiveness, and love. She runs a practice called Ignite Purpose. Ooh, love that title, Ignite Purpose. That says it all. 2 words says it all. Let's ignite some purpose, where she has the privilege of guiding others on their life-changing journeys. In addition to her work, she also has many other passions, and she has written a fabulous book called The Glass Angel, and we are going to talk about that book as well. So I want everyone to give a big round of applause and welcome to Christina.
Hi, Maureen from Sydney, Australia.
Oh, see
Everyone.
the accent alone is just everybody's gonna melt now. They're just gonna be like, oh, she's gonna like not put you to sleep, but she's just gonna be so soothing. So welcome, and I love your story. We were talking offline before we started about how similar our stories are, and also that we are grandmothers, which is super cool. I mean, look at us.
Cool.
Grandmas did not look like this back in the day. We're just going to say that, okay? We're glammas. We really are.
I am a glammy.
You see?
I'm a glammy. He can't say it, so he just calls me mom, but I'm a glammy.
So yours is still little. Thank God. Mine are like, I have my 14-year-old grandson living with me now. So he's under 2 then, right?
2.5.
Yes, there we go. Oh, it's so fun when they're that age, though. You have to write down his words. You have to write down the little things that he says that you can throw back when he's older and say, this is what you said. So, of course, the podcast is called I Never Knew. And we start off with your story because the inspiration is where you are now is not where you were. And to help one another, we have to give hope and we have to give healing to others to say, someone in our situation that we were in can look at you and say, wow, she did this. So tell me, how did it all start? How did your story start? How did your pain story start?
Thank you. And thanks for such a beautiful introduction. I think we all go through so many experiences. And I thought that when my marriage fell apart, because I was young, I got married at 21. I'm a Pentecostal minister's daughter. So I don't have to say anything else, right?
Expectation just jumped out at me right there.
Huge. Like everyone's always looking at you. You need to be the model of perfection, all that sort of stuff, which is unreal. It's not a realistic recognition of how someone can live. And when I looked at my story, I always thought, well, it was the divorce, it was the abuse in my marriage. That's where it all started. But as I've gone through my healing journey and I've tried to look at me as a whole human being, I realized that I needed to go back to who I was when I was little and really recognize, when did things start changing for me? And I was doing an activity in a program that I was in, because I'm a constant learner. I want to keep transforming. I don't believe we'll ever really be there. We've just got to absorb it and connect to it, connect to learning. And I was sitting through this piece and I looked at a photograph of me as a little girl where I was about 3 and my brother's 4 and we're a year apart. And I was looking at him. I had this light coming out of me. And then I looked at a photo of when I was 5 and I could see some things had started shifting. And I was, well, what's happened? And I sat down and I realized that around that time, I was sexually abused by a family member. And because I could never understand why I always wanted someone to love me. And I was so loved. Like, why was that always so when that happened to me, my dad being a minister, oh my goodness, he's passed away now, but he was such a godly man, and I don't think he knew what to do. What do you do? Like, you're a minister, like this. Sorry, this shit shouldn't happen in a minister's home. Eh?
You be you, girl. Whatever
Thanks,
flies, flies.
darling.
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
and so I think, I reflected, I spoke to my mother about this a few years back when I really worked through some of this. And she and I had this beautiful conversation, and it went about, did it ever happen again? I said no. Because I woke up after this happened and I went to my parents and I told them, and they were shushed me back to bed, which can happen, right?
Yeah.
So that I call my shame root, Maureen.
Wow.
Okay. And I'm going to use it. It's the little fucker, sorry, that
No.
keeps me in the cycle of pain, needing to be, not being good enough, fed my inner critic. For anyone in there who feels uncomfortable with my swearing, I apologize, but it was absolutely a way to describe that terrible pain.
Yeah.
So I grew up with that. I grew up with being a dark girl in Africa, going through apartheid, never easy. I was classified as white, for anyone who knows classification around a race. But I wasn't allowed in the sun, because if I go in the sun too much, I go chocolate. And if I'm chocolate, I don't get toilet keys to public bathrooms. I mean, I could just keep playing this out for you, right?
Wow.
So I had all this stuff growing up. So then I meet my childhood sweetheart, who we grew up in the church together. You think, oh, get married to someone who goes to the same community. The chances of your marriage working is so much higher. And he was a riot squad policeman. And he was working in the time before Nelson Mandela, when Nelson Mandela was coming out of prison. And so there was a lot of unrest. And he was also the golden boy of his family. He was a rugby player, sportsman. Everyone just adored him. So I got married to him. And my codependency started there. I needed him to help me feel that I was safe. I needed him to tell me what to do. I needed him to fill me in a way. So I needed him. So I fed him all my power. I
Yeah.
gave him all the best parts of me. And the challenge was that, I'm sorry, Maureen, I've just got a visitor coming here. I'm just gonna just
We love
my visitor,
visitors.
and then I'm gonna send him off.
Oh my gosh. This must be our grandbaby.
That's our grandbaby.
Oh, so adorable. We welcome dogs and kids in the picture. Anybody else, they got to go, but dogs and kids always welcome.
Well, it's his ritual. He comes into the office in the morning and greets his glammy before he
Oh,
goes to school.
well, see, I would
But
never want to interfere with that. So I'm just, you know what? Like I said, we're girlfriends. We're having coffee. Our kids and dogs would be involved anyway. So yeah, that's
well, it's
great.
life, right? This
It
is life.
is.
And so coming back to the story, that's actually, you know, he's a product of that marriage, my little grandson. He's my daughter's child, and I'm so grateful for them. I think, you go through codependency, you go through all of this stuff, and you think, I can't get out of it.
Oh,
Because codependency is almost this way of living that is a coping behavior based on your pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you don't recognize it, you'll never break it.
And I think that's the thing, is not recognizing it. That's the only reason you continue it, is because you don't recognize it. And you think what you do most, I believe, because I went through the same thing, was I am not strong. I'm not whole unless that person's there doing these things for me. Whether it's good or bad, I still didn't feel whole. And then
Exactly.
that's how they can get that power and start the abuse. So when did the abuse start? Was it slow? Was it verbal? Was it
Oh, well,
physical?
good question. So we started dating when I was 17. So it was my final year of high school. Um, when we started, he wanted to date me 2 years before, and I was uncertain because he was teasing me in a way that I didn't feel comfortable.
Mm. Mm.
But between that and when I started dating, I dated somebody else. And this young guy was in the church with me. We were in the youth group together. We went on a youth camp, and he broke up with me at the youth camp in front of everybody. And I felt so broken and ashamed. I know, how bad is that?
Especially
And
at that age, rejection is bad enough when you're like, okay, fine, I have confidence. But when you don't have confidence, oh my gosh, in front of everybody too. That
yeah,
that
and he started dating another girl straight at that camp before we even got home.
Geez, a little man
I
whore, a
know.
little boy whore. I,
So
I wonder where he is today.
he's still in the town I grew up in.
is
He's
he
still in the town.
is he divorced 4 times over? I just hope so. That's a terrible thing to say.
Actually, he went through one divorce and he's now married and he seems to be happy with his 2 kids. So you know what?
Okay.
Good to him. But it was that first like spark of brokenness that really hit me.
Yeah.
And so I contacted my then first husband, soon to be, and I said to him, how you didn't want to date me? Well, I'm ready to date. Come on, let's have a date. And he picked me up. He was there in like half an hour, drove up.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
so eager. And that for someone who's just been rejected like that, that attention is overwhelming and it
Yes.
soothes your ego. Even though 2 years or year and a half before, I knew it wasn't right for me.
Yeah. You didn't question it though. You wanted like this instant gratification and comfort. And I think
I
when we're
wanted comfort.
Yeah, more codependent. I think we do that because I looked over my life over 30 years and I just jumped from one to another to another. I never
Yep.
gave no time in between, because then I'd have to sit with myself and figure out what my problem was. And it was easier to jump, and you just got the same guy, different
Same
face.
guy. So, Maureen, you are seriously my sister from another life, because my brothers used to laugh at me and go, because I'm now married to my fourth husband.
Okay.
Um, I thought I was going to give Elizabeth Taylor a run for her money, but I'm so thankful that I'm healing.
Hey, I'm on three. I'm on three. Third time was a charm. So
Well, my daughter always tells me it's actually three because you married the first one twice.
oh, see, there we go. Third time's a
You
charm.
know, and but you're right. So we get into the cycle. So coming back to that story, it started when we were dating. I broke up with him so many times, because I used to get so frustrated by the way he was treating me that I tried to use my voice. Now I'm saying I tried to,
Yeah.
because I didn't know how to set boundaries.
Yes.
I didn't know that my voice counted. Because remember the story I just told you when I was a little girl and that happened to me? My parents shushed me and they put me back to bed. So
Yeah.
my voice was taken.
Yeah. Yeah.
My ability,
You were programmed to not say anything, because when you do, it's met with deaf ears anyway.
exactly. So all I needed to do, and because I grew up in a servanthood kind of community, our job as the minister's kids was to serve the community, and that they could do whatever they wanted to us as long as they were happy. And so that kind of stuff steals your ability to use your voice. Anyway, so I get into this relationship. We get engaged first time. Here's the doozy. So here's where it started. This is where I was like, We're on the beach in South Africa. I don't know if anyone who surfs out there, if they heard of Jeffreys Bay, but it's just a bit north of Jeffreys Bay called East London. And it's not in London, it's in Africa. And so we're sitting on the beach. He gives me this ring. He asks me to marry him. I open the box. The ring jumps out of the box, lands on the beach somewhere. He loses his shit.
Oh my
How
gosh.
stupid are you? And he just went into this tirade. I found the ring and I sat like there thinking, I'm so excited to be engaged because I didn't end up going to university straight out of school. So this was the next best thing. You know, I'm 19. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is unpleasant. This isn't what it should be. Like, this should be the most beautiful experience. In actual fact, if I replayed that, he should have said to me, I love you. Let's look for that ring. Must be on the sand here somewhere. Versus, you're so stupid. How could you do that? And so kind of that verbal abuse and the control was really switched into gear from there on. So much so that a while later, he went off on border patrol because of the unrest in the country. And for the first time in a while, I was free, Maureen. I didn't have that control because he couldn't. Like, he wasn't there. We didn't have mobile phones or iPhones or anything like that. We're talking 28 years ago. It's a long time.
Yeah.
And I was working at a distribution company. I was receptionist, and my boss at that stage was 20 years older than me, and he'd just been placed in this new company. We were trying to sort everything out. He thought he could give me new work to do so that I could end up being a secretary versus a receptionist. I was very excited. I stayed late one night because we needed to catch up on pallets and orders and things like that. And he said, "Oh, I'll drop you off at home." And this is where the Me Too movement now makes me recognize what happened, because he locked me between the security gate and the door with him. Now, just remember, do I have a voice, Maureen?
Nope. You've been shut down many a time and allowed it.
And allowed it. Okay. Mm-hmm. So now I'm a man 20 years older than me, very successful, showing me kindness after me being controlled, but yet abusing me.
Yeah.
And I don't say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I'm incongruent with my values. I'm going, right. I just did something really bad. Break up with him while he's on the border. Go, I don't want to do this anymore. I need to be free. I'm free for 2 months. Can't live without him, Maureen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't live without him. So guess what I do?
You get back with him.
Get back with him. 6 months later, we're married.
Yes. Because that would be the next thing that any codependent would do, myself included, is you get back together, immediately run right back into that commitment and something even more committed.
Serious.
That's even harder to get out of, because they must love me if they want to marry me. It has nothing to do with love.
It's about control.
Yes.
It's control, not love. It's control. I became a possession.
Yes.
Not a precious gift.
Yes.
Those are two very different things. So if there's a listener out there and you're a possession, not a precious gift, it's time for you to look at your life differently.
Well, let's tell our listeners, what does it look like? Because you and I always talk with, my daughter had said one time, what we do is we take these red flags that you saw since you were 15, and every red flag was right there, dropping the ring in the sand, him yelling at you. And we just keep piling them away. We storm like nuts, like we're squirrels, instead of saying, hold the phone. I mean, I remember I was pregnant, like a month pregnant, and mine had me up against the wall choking me. And I'm like, oh, well, okay. I was upset. And of course, he'll never do it again. Of course, he was sorry. And
of course he was. And if it's some of us, it was actually your fault anyway.
Of course it was. I said something. It must have been me making that happen. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have, whatever it was I did, I must have caused that. So this is really good. This is a great discussion. And I love this because you and I are the voice that whoever is in it right now down needs. So what are those
Absolutely.
signs? What does it look like? What if
Who?
they don't know what it looks like?
So I'm going to share with you what it looked like for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Who you can talk to and who you can't talk to. So I was separated from my family eventually. I was told to choose between him and my family because he couldn't have my family with him. And my family were lovely. So, but I had to choose my parents or him. So
Mm,
it's separation. So if he's separating you from family, friends, community, it's a problem. So he took my money. So my money had to be paid into his bank account, and weekly he'd give me an allowance.
yeah.
Okay. That is financial abuse. If that is happening to you, please don't make drastic moves. I just have to be honest with you out there. You've got to think it through and you've got to be peaceful. I'm not saying run away. I'm saying you recognize there's something that has to change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I used to try and please him. So I was so anxious all the time, and I still suffer from that because of that feeling of doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So my now husband, if he gets quiet, every now and again I'll have this anxiety hit me, and I'll go, "Did I do something wrong? Are you okay?" Those words, those thoughts, those words are from that codependent relationship, are from that pain, are from you trying to be safe.
Yeah.
Okay,
Those are
trying to be
triggers.
triggers, trying to be perfect all the time. Who's perfect?
Not
Please
it.
tell me who's perfect. Okay.
Nobody except dogs and children.
Thank you. And when people shared with me he'd been unfaithful. The first time it happened, I was 8 months pregnant. He was a professional sports, semi-professional sportsman, so would play on a weekend. He get paid for that. Then he'd go out with the boys afterwards. I would be at home because I'm pregnant. And I came from a minister's home, man. My dad was praying and meditating on a Saturday night. What do I know about someone going out partying? I like it. It's a very different world, right?
Yeah, right.
And so my sister-in-law came. She was staying over with me. We were both 8 months pregnant. Our kids are actually born 12 months apart. It's his brother's wife. And his brother came in. They came in late. And there's a bit of a kerfuffle in their room because the brother had told his wife what had happened.
Mm,
He felt this wasn't okay.
wow.
And the following day, I think the boys went out. She was with me still because she was one of those people who was allowed to be my friend.
Mm,
Okay. She
because
was
he felt
because she was
he
in the
could
family.
control it. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. She was in the family, right? And his brother would control her like he controls me.
Yes.
Um, but this woman is strong. And she went, that is not okay. And I need to tell you this happened. And I was 8 months pregnant, brokenhearted. Brokenhearted. Because during this time, I developed an infection. Um, and it was because he was sleeping around. I didn't know that. Right. And he told me that I was falling apart and disgusting, and there was
Yeah.
something wrong with me.
Wow. Of course, we're gonna have to
Of course.
gaslight you because we're doing something wrong, but we're not gonna own that.
Oh,
So
no.
that's a perfect narcissistic abuser thing to do. It would never be their fault. So
Never their fault. Like, and then when I confronted him about the woman, he said to me, believe what you want to believe.
I'm putting it on you again. I'm gonna put it
Thank
on
you.
you.
And then I
Yeah.
thought I must be crazy, but surely I'm not crazy because I met this girl. I know, like you just know, like you're not stupid,
Yes, that's
you
following
know.
your intuition, following your gut. If it feels like something's off, it is. And the bonus, I love that you talk about, your sister-in-law tells you that it's going on. You know it's going on. You have physical proof from what's going on. And we can talk ourselves out of it when we are not mentally and emotionally
Absolutely.
healed and strong. We can talk ourselves out of anything that is deliberately right in front of our faces, right?
Totally.
It's,
And you
yeah,
can't go. Where do you go? So I don't have money. I don't
yeah,
have self-confidence. I'm 8 months pregnant.
yeah.
I want to have a good life. I've committed my life. We had a marriage ceremony where we had communion, we broke bread. For me, that was so sacred. I just couldn't fathom it. So, Maureen, I did what any other crazy woman would do. I used to go to his wardrobe and pray that he wouldn't come home
Oh
while I'm
my
sobbing
gosh.
my eyes out because I love him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Um,
Do you think
had my
the added, I'm sorry to interrupt. Do
no,
you
no,
think
go for
the
it.
added part of the dynamic in your family with the religious background? Because I didn't have parents that were religious. My mother was Catholic, my father was atheist. So they chose to, thankfully, just sort of say, figure it out for yourself. So they didn't push us into the church. But I do hear a lot of people who have that religious upbringing that we're guilted into staying in situations
Totally.
that are
Oh,
completely not right and not fair because it's the right thing to do. And then they use the Bible and God as,
exactly.
background and proof to make you stay somewhere you shouldn't be.
So, Maureen, yes. And then I want to add something.
Yeah.
Because my dad had actually, when he was married at 18, I think, he got divorced when he was younger because his wife left him for his cousin.
Wow.
And so he found God and then ended up being accepted into Bible school and married my mum. So he had a good understanding of a relationship that wasn't right. And
Yeah.
so eventually my little girl was just about two. She was 1.5. My dad used to sneak visits into me. So when he'd go on house visitation, he knew when my husband was playing rugby, and then he'd come and visit me and
Oh.
have a cup of coffee with me. But I had to wash the coffee cups so that he didn't know that my dad had visited me.
Isn't that
Okay.
terrible? It's just you think about
Terrible.
you're like you would never do that now.
Shit, no.
You're such a strong woman now. It's crazy though when we do look back because I mean, and listeners, and I want to say, we can laugh about this now because her and I, thank goodness, healed, and we look back and just go, "Oh my goodness, I was crazy as a third person looking at myself in the past. What in the world? How could I have allowed that? How could I go through that? But it's what we do, and when you need love, and I say need." When
Yeah,
you
I needed
need
it.
love, yes, when you need love that bad, you will do anything. And that is, my friends, the last thing we want anyone to do is to need love. You need to love you first. So let's continue.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's
Thank
continue.
you. Thank you. Because I needed to love me first. But my problem was I was wanting to be loved in order to feel full. But the bucket never fills up
Mm-mm.
because
No.
no one else can fill your bucket. Only you can.
Yeah. And when
Okay.
you're with these abusers, you can never do enough. I used to remember
Oh,
saying if I were pretty enough, skinny enough, smart enough, there was nothing I could
there was
do.
never enough,
No,
Maureen.
you'll never
I
make it.
weighed I weighed 45 kilograms when I got married to him because he told me I was fat. And in order to marry him, I needed to lose weight. My wedding dress was like I could almost move it around me. They couldn't keep taking it in because I kept losing so much weight.
Wow.
Okay. Even on honeymoon, he said to me, "You're so fat." Um,
Wow.
so it was watching what I was eating. It was watching what I was doing. I couldn't greet people in the mall. I couldn't walk. I used to tell my work colleagues, "Don't talk to me. If you see me in a shop, walk right past me. Please don't
Yes.
talk to me. Don't greet me. Don't even have eye contact. Just
Yes.
pretend you don't even know me." Now, tell me that is flippin' well crazy. That is
Yeah.
crazy. That is crazy. That it means you isolated so much. Okay. Which means suddenly you don't. I couldn't sit in a restaurant when I left and even know what food to order for myself.
Yeah.
In actual fact, I didn't know how to work with money, which is why I ended up back with him. Because after I left him, I'll share with you, I didn't leave in a way that I think was congruent to my values again. But for the first time, someone showed me kindness.
Yeah.
Someone showed me kindness, and I had a very short-lived relationship, and I was like, well, if I can do this, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm not staying with you. And I remember my parents said, you can come home. But when I could come home, because of how I left and because I was divorced, I couldn't be in ministry in my community, which means I couldn't play the church piano anymore. I couldn't sing in the church band anymore. I was suddenly this leper,
Wow.
23-year-old leper in a community. I'm calling myself a leper but that's how I felt.
Yeah.
The community of that I'd ever known.
And that's so sad because you were already isolated in this relationship away from your family. And then your family lovingly says, come on back. However, now you're isolated from the community. You're probably thinking, can I ever just have it all? Can I ever just have people love and accept me? This is crazy that everyone wants to control what I
Totally.
can and can't do.
And then, Maureen, you get told this by your family, by the church community, by someone who's so unwise. See, I'm trying to be gracious. And also by your family. My family member, there was a specific family member that phoned me and said, if you don't change your life, God's going to curse you. Here's a piece of the Bible for you. And I was like, oh, God.
Yeah.
At the same time, no one wanted to date me. That was my age because I'm 23-year-old divorcee with a little girl. And there must be something wrong with you, especially in that community. Firstly, God's going to send me a pure woman. Really? And the best part was if you'd stayed on your knees and prayed, God would have changed him.
Yes. Okay. Well, that didn't
Okay.
happen.
No, it
So
didn't happen. So whoop, back again in order to be part of my community, to be accepted. When he phoned me and said, my mom's died, I've changed my life. I treated you badly. Please, can you come back? I need my daughter. I need to take care of you. And at that stage, my life had fallen apart so badly because I didn't know how to be independent. I was
yeah.
dependent. Didn't know how to be independent. I was living on a porch in my granny's apartment in Pretoria. And this was after a boyfriend that I'd had in the interim after being divorced for a year had robbed me, Maureen.
My
I
gosh.
mean, honestly, I was like, really? Really, universe? Honestly, God, what are you doing? But it wasn't God, of course. And so I went back into the marriage, married him again 5 months later. He was dragging me around by my hair. And it
Yeah.
was pretty bad. And I was like, I left that time with only suitcases, basically. I left with nothing.
But you
And
left, but you left.
I left,
And that's
Maureen.
just it. We end up like, we don't care what we have as
I had to
long
go.
as we are safe and our children are safe. And that's where we start the journey. So even there's a lot of people that don't want to leave these situations because I'm going to lose my car. I'm going to lose this. And that's okay. You will rebuild and you will rebuild better if you believe. So let's talk about where you started the healing journey finally to say,
Good.
dang, I need to figure out how to stop this insanity cycle of going back to him. What is missing that makes me want these types of relationships?
So I have to fast forward to about, well, when I met my now husband. So once again, I did very similar, moved from one relationship to the next. Okay. When I met him in Canada 16 years ago, he was younger than me and he said, look, I really like you. But number one, you're married because we were in a business conference. And number two, I don't date married women and I have strong values here. So I'm happy to be your friend and I'm happy to talk to you, but I won't be getting into a relationship with you as much as I like you.
Nice.
And
Nice.
he said to me, you go and sort your life out and you choose what you want. And we can keep being friends. And, if things happen, they happen. But you sort your life out first.
Respect. Respect. I
Thank you.
love that.
Respect to the man. Respect to the man, right?
Finally, one that deserves the respect. And he
He
didn't
does.
say, I'm going to save you, because we could go the
I
other
should
way
know.
too. My second husband was like a knight in shining armor. He was like a knight in shining armor only because he wasn't abusive. So it
Mm.
didn't matter the bar was very, very low. It was like, okay, as long as you don't abuse me, I'm good. And
Totally.
really, like you, I should have ended up just being friends with my second husband. And we're still, today we're cordial and we've had conversations where we've hashed things out. Really nice guy, but it wasn't what I needed. It wasn't my soulmate. But sometimes we jump into these
We
next
jump.
ones. Yeah. And we don't necessarily find another bad relationship, but we tend to jump to be saved. Like, I need a savior before we save ourselves. Right.
Well, Maureen, after that marriage and interaction, I stayed with another guy for 2 years. And he wasn't ready to be a dad. I think in some of his own ways, he was controlling. He had OCD, very successful. We were the same age. And then he came home one day and said, look, I've decided I don't love you anymore. Can you and your daughter move out? And that was in the span of 10 years. I was like, now I'm finished. Like, I don't want to see a man again. I
Yeah.
never want to marry a man again. But I do like men. So that's the challenge, right? I don't like them, but I do like them. And so I call it the rise of my ninja Barbie. And it's my
Nice.
armored up self. Now, I will say to you, I thought I could carry my stories and prove to the world how tough I was. And I turned into one tough chick, if that's a good way to describe it. But I
Yes.
annihilated men.
Mm.
I
Hmm.
annihilated them. I became a sales director. My second or third husband, whichever way, the father of my son. I had my son first because I never wanted to get married again. I was like, I just want a baby. Can you donate me some key elements for me to have this child? And he was a satellite engineer. He actually worked for an American company based in Africa. So he was earning good money. And then when we got together, he was retrenched from his job because they pulled out of Africa. And his ex-wife, oh my God, it was like a nut cycle. It was like, oh my God. And I was the man. Like I was taking care of the family. I was earning money. So suddenly the roles had switched. And you know what I did to him, Maureen? I treated him with little grace.
Yeah.
Is what was being proven to me was no man would ever be able to take care of me.
Yeah.
So I
Yes.
needed to now take care of myself. But I swung too far. I didn't
Yeah.
heal. I went from all broken to crazy warrior lady. And you know what? I look back at that and I go, thank you so much, Ninja Barbie, for arriving in my life at a time when I needed you. The problem with Ninja Barbie is she suffocates who I really am. All my
Yes.
light, all my love, all my joy. She takes it away in order for me to rise.
Well, she also suffocates herself because she has armor. It's just armor.
Huge armor.
I did the same thing. I was like, I'm never going to need you for anything. I'm never going to, no one's going to take anything away from me. The house is mine. So you will, if you're going to move in, you move in here because I'll
Thank
never
you.
be homeless. The bank accounts, I did all the finances. So I love that you said the pendulum swung. So what happened was we didn't get better. We got bitter and we tended to overcompensate for the pain rather than healing the pain. And so we had to
Absolutely.
swing back to the middle. How'd you swing back to the middle? Because
Mm.
that's where you are now.
So this is where I am. So I came to Australia. It was quite a journey. I was a senior executive in South Africa, senior manager after rising. Came to Australia, needed to rebuild my career, but it was the best thing. It was the best thing because the community here was different to the community overseas, and because it's so many international people, it was simpler for me.
Mm-hmm.
Was it easy? No. Was the relationship that I had to navigate with my now husband easy? No, because I was still carrying all that scars. So 10 years ago, I started my practice Ignite Purpose because I was like so purpose driven, but I was trying to run toward my worthiness. I
Yeah.
was trying to outrun shame still by being able to use what I have so others could be more without remembering that I got to fill my cup. So I had adrenal fatigue 9 years ago, where I obviously had worked so hard when all the trauma that I'd been through, everything just caught up with me. And then, of course, I'm trying to establish this business. I'm a little brown African girl in Australia, not yet an Australian. So, it was all that stuff. I became a citizen. But here's my thing. Our children sometimes are our greatest teachers. And my son had developed mental health challenges because he'd been bullied at school. And I knew that when I brought him to Australia when he was 3, my parents had helped raise him. So he had suffered from his own form of PTSD, not being settled, not having his grandparents around, a mother that was always traveling before for work was now trying to raise him in her own best crazy way, a new father figure. It was just nuts. And anyway, we sat at the psychology office. I'm going to explain to you what happens. I run this coaching practice. So I travel all over Australia. I'm running workshops. I was booked back to back 6 months in advance, right? Really going well, but working myself to death, Maureen. It's about 5 years ago. go into the psychologist's office because my son refused to go to school. So the school sent us there with me and my now husband. And we sit down, and the psychologist, I can see her looking at me, and I think, are you judging me, lady? Because it's not good to judge. I know Brene Brown. So, judgment's bad, but I'm looking at I know versus who I am.
Yes.
Two different things. So if you know Brene Brown, that is cool. Now you got to do the work.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I have to put it out there because that was me. I knew it, but now I need to do it.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
that's what I always say that in my coaching business. I tell everyone your first steps are recognition. Don't even worry about starting anything. Let's recognize it first, and then we'll get to integration. So you're right. It's the knowing it versus the doing it. Good.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, I just get out of your head and get into your heart.
Yeah.
You know? And so anyway, I'm sitting there and she says to me, do you think you could work less? I explode, right? It's like a volcano. And I look at this beautiful husband of mine who we just worked through some shit because my therapist had told me, if you can have a voice in your work relationship and you build a business, how can you not set boundaries with your husband? You need to do that. So our relationship was coming right slowly because I was learning to have a voice, right?
Yes. Yes.
In business, I had a strong voice, but at home, my PTSD was still showing up. So I wasn't. Anyway, let me come to PTSD. I explode. I look at this man. I go, do you expect me to put my faith in this man? I have had so many men before who have not been able to take care of me. And now you're telling me that I need to work less, which means I have a lower probability of taking care of my children. Are you out of your mind?
Yeah. Yeah. You're taking away my security. What do you mean?
Thank you. Thank you. And he's sitting there, pale-faced, beautiful English man. I call him my Mr. Darcy. My son has got tears rolling down his cheeks. She phones me after that. She goes, I just need to share with you. I don't think you realize it, but you've got PTSD. And you've got stuff that you haven't sorted out. And I think until you heal, it's going to keep showing up in your son's life.
Wow.
I was like, I got really angry, angry. And then a week later, I was looking for a therapist.
I know. It's, it's one thing for you to say it, but if somebody else says it, it's like, hold the phone, man. Don't tell me.
And who do you think you are?
Right? And also, it's one thing, this is something, and I think a lot of people that have been in these toxic relationships, if something happened to me, I thought, well, I'm really strong. But the minute you involve my child, woof, all bets are off. Like it's on like Donkey Kong. Like I'm there. And it's funny that those, as moms, and I think that's why we are women, when we have that maternal instinct, the women that do have the maternal instinct, not all women do.
Yes.
I think that that's what gets us. That's what makes us really sort of strive for that change, because we will do these things seeing what our children need. So
absolutely. And I couldn't live with him keep telling me he was gray.
Yes.
And at the same time, so this is what I did. I found a beautiful psychologist, doctor of psychology. He's actually American. He was one of my team that was coaching our clients. And I said to him, right, Robbie, I need you to do executive coaching with me, but I need you to get into some therapy. And he was like, okay, I can do that. So the first thing he said to me is, what do you want? And I said, I just want peace. I want to be free. And that's when I realized that there's so much work to do. And that's when my healing started. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful to that therapist. I'm grateful to my son. I'm grateful for my journey. And I'll share this with you. The biggest gift has come as I've looked at my story and embraced each part with love. That's the first thing. And accepting that I am not my story, that I can rewrite my framing around the story.
Yes.
And that I can shift my beliefs based on the story. See, if I keep those fundamental beliefs and I nurture them, my behavior, my coping behavior is just going to keep showing up for me. Because I'm not changing my thinking, and I'm buying into negative thoughts that are keeping me in the spiral of pain and shame.
Yeah.
But I do believe this, and that's why I wrote the book. I wrote the book, firstly, it's an easy read. because I've got dyslexia, number one. And number two, no one's going to pick up a thick book and read it. I know that for sure. Okay. So it needs to be an easy read. Secondly, I love working in metaphors. So I wrote my story based on the story of a glass angel that's broken, because I used to think I was broken and that I would use my pain to rise.
Yeah.
But the problem is I keep harming myself because I keep the pain so close. It hurts and I'm hurting. So instead of giving love away, I give pain away. Instead of giving compassion away, I give shame away. See, and then I treat everybody else like, suck it up, sunshine. If you can't suck up your life like I've done mine, then and so what we do is we create that in our children, where there's a lack of compassion in our children, in ourselves. I mean, for ourselves, you lie up and so, for example, you wake up and you go, I feel so sick this morning. And then my ninja Barbie would go, lazy people feel sick. Get up, girl. Get your show on the road. There is no time for this, until your body eventually goes, yeah, I'm checking out on you.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not in sync here. We are not in alignment. Your mind says this, but your body doesn't. And I always tell everyone, take care of your body and your mind will catch up. Your mind will say, you know what? If we're doing things that feel good, then our mind knows that we feel good. I think that's a
Yes.
big thing. And what you just said, I want to just touch on this. And gosh, I could talk to you for hours. We have 10 minutes left. I can't believe an hour has just flown by. But this, I think, is so important. And I think you're going to love this. What I recognized and feared when I started the healing journey, and then I started talking about it, I started the writing. What I realized was I did not want it to be my identity. And if I
Yes.
healed from what had happened, am I losing a piece of my
Yes.
identity? Because it's the thing that kept me. It was my
Moving.
yes, it was my
It
fuel.
was your fuel.
There you go. Girl, girl.
I used to say, I need my pain to fuel me. Okay.
Yes, like it was our
But
drive.
that's rubbish.
Yep.
I want to share with everybody out there, as I've healed and as I'm healing, because I don't think that the journey of healing is ever done. It's going to be a continual piece, right?
Yep.
But as I heal and I keep healing, my ability to be present and peaceful and joyous and in this moment allows me to rise. Okay. I used this with a coaching client of mine the other day. We were talking about being in the arena. You know, Brene Brown talks about being in the arena.
If you're not in the arena getting your ass kicked, do not give me your opinion, baby. My favorite saying
don't
by
you
Brene.
Love that, right?
Yes.
But now she says to me, so I use this arena as showing up for your life. Now we're sharing this and she's saying, can I show up in the arena with my sword? And I said, I want to change a reflection for you. When you show up filled with self-love and compassion, peacefulness and grace, your ability to hold presence becomes your shield. It becomes love. And it's not even a shield. It's just this space around you. And does it mean you're not going to fall? No, you are going to get skinned knees, but you're going to look at it from a place of love and learning versus a place of shame and fighting. And I think that, to me, that fear and love source is the biggest gift I have, Maureen, because I can armor up into Ninja Barbie in 2 seconds.
Yes. We go back. One thing can
one trigger.
Yeah. And we're just right back to Ninja Barbie, or, or even if we're healed, I find, and my husband now is just absolutely amazing, but there's something that he can say and I will just, it'll freeze me. It'll be that freeze reaction. Or the flight, I'm a flight, anyone who's been traumatized with PTSD or in abusive relationships, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. And then we have to coach ourselves and go, whoa. Okay. What's going on here? What's going on? Let's recognize, what are we still needing to learn? What are we still asking for to be taught? So with a few minutes left, I always ask, we have a love, and we're going to promote everything that you have going on before we get off. But I always ask, you're in Australia, downtown, 100,000 people behind you with a banner. What does your banner say? What's your movement, Christina?
I love that. Let's create a movement of love and compassion.
Yes.
Love
Yes.
and compassion. And actually, with the tagline, it starts in me first.
Oh, I love that. It starts in me
Starts in me
first.
first.
Oh my goodness.
See, I can look for love and compassion for you to give that to me every day. But if I don't give it to me, then when you struggle to give it to me, it's not about me not being good enough. It's about you struggling to give it to me, but I'm good enough, so I've given it to me already.
Yes. Yes. In other words, I'm the whole pie. And if you are able to put, well, let's make it a cake because I like cake better. So I'm the whole chocolate cake, and
Yes,
you can put icing on the cake, but my cake is still good without icing.
absolutely.
Yes.
I am perfect in my imperfection, and I love the parts of me that I never did. And um it's a journey, and I learn from myself every day. I learn from how I'm reacting, what I'm saying. So you know that those moments where you go, gosh, I could have dealt with that better. I call those lighthouse moments, Maureen, because it's not about me failing, it's about me learning. It's about me being better. It's
Oh,
about me being called to look at something differently.
lighthouse moments. And I think anything that involves light, whether we're light healers and shedding light on the darkness, I mean, that's such a beautiful way of saying we're just putting more light on those things that we're trying to
Mm,
make better. And I think
absolutely.
it's so amazing. And you and I definitely are sisters, soul sisters here, because
Absolutely.
my whole thought is, and this is what, what my programs are and what my books are, is I was not my own best friend. And I didn't
Mm,
have grace and mercy on myself. And I didn't treat myself the way I would treat others. And
exactly.
now I've learned I'm my own best friend. And it's okay. I remember thinking it was always so selfish to put myself first. And now
Mhm.
it's okay. I need to love me first. I need to be my own best friend first. I need to like me.
Totally.
And
Totally.
that's the gift. That's the gift of the healing. So tell us, oh my goodness, where we can find you, because first of all, I need to take a trip to Australia, because now
Yeah, you do.
I have a
Yeah, you do.
total, I wanted to anyway, but now this is just like fuel the fire 5 times over. So your website, where to get your book,
Okay,
what
so
you have going
so
on.
so if they want to reach out to me, www.ignitepurpose.com.au.
Okay.
And I'm on Facebook, Christina Foxwell. I'm on LinkedIn, Christina Foxwell. Actually, on Facebook, it's Christina Talyard Foxwell, and that's TALJAARD Foxwell. And Ignite Purpose has got a page. The Glass Angel, if you're looking for the Glass Angel, it is, I just want to give you the full name.
Okay.
It's at Barnes and Noble at the moment. Woo-hoo!
Yeah.
And it's on Amazon, and it's The Glass Angel, a guide to freedom, peace, transformation, and growth. And it's about how you unlock your potential. Because you know what, ladies? It's time to live. It's time to thrive. It's time to breathe. It's time to dance naked in the rain and not worry about what other people are saying, but really just to be so connected with who you are. It's time.
Yes.
Um,
And everything's in you. It's all in you.
It's all in you. It's
Yeah.
all in you, not in anybody else. And you know what? I want to say something else too. If you read it and if you listen to our story today, Maureen, and we talk about codependency and we talk about gaslighting, it's a journey to recognize it. Please don't make knee jerk reactions. Get a good coach, get a good therapist, speak to someone, bring your shame into the light so it's no longer shameful. Um, it has to start there. You
Yeah.
need to be able to get it out. You need to be able to look at it. And then as you look at it, instead of looking at it from a perspective of that's ugly, you look at it from a perspective of I did the best that I could in that moment.
Mhm.
It's okay. I love me first.
Yeah, every race had to begin with a step. So
Totally.
that's what we need to remind people is that, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. So every little step is a step as long as we're moving forward. And I love that. I just love everything you've said. So my last question, I am a firm believer in self-care. It's something I didn't do very early on that I try to do now. What is your shameless self indulgence?
Well, I do take care of myself where I can. So I invest the money in doing the things I love. When I was so controlled, I wasn't able to do my nails or my hair or my skincare. So I do some of that. I think it's really important. I take time out to just chill, not
Yes.
to run around and serve anybody else. But if I want to watch something on TV, and I'm not a couch potato because I don't have time, and if you are, that's okay too. But I'll watch something I really want to watch. Um, I listen to me. If I need to just rest today, I try and rest. Um, these sounds like small things, but for me, they're big things because I never allowed myself to have them. I
Yes.
go for a massage once a month, a remedial massage. Why? Because that's my gift to me.
Yes.
I work high stress, high pressure. That's my gift to me. I like buying shoes.
Oh,
Mm.
she's a
So
shoe
only
girl.
so every now and again I'll go and buy myself something nice. I make sure though that my coping behavior doesn't become shopping because it has been at some time. So I watch some of the stuff as soon as it feels like it's too much. Maybe it's an addiction I'm creating. um, but I do self-care now like I've never done in my life. I scaled back my business that I don't work 24/7. I now work in a way that is good for me, my family, and my life.
So
And
healthy. It's all
so
about the
healthy.
balance. It's about the balance. And I love that you said it varies. A lot of us just have this one certain go-to. And you said it varies. Maybe I do want to watch TV. Maybe I just want to go get my nails done. Maybe I just want to, I like reading. So I'm kind of like, maybe I just want to sit and read a book. I love
Totally.
learning. So I love taking online courses. So,
And I paint. I do
oh,
painting. So I have an
yes.
easel and I paint and I listen to audiobooks and I sew unicorns for fun. So I have like this variety of things that I can touch into that's based on where my heart is today, I'll go to.
Joyful moments, joyful
I love the
moments.
joy.
What a
Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude.
right? That's what it's all about. It's just being in the moment and saying what feels good for me right now. Maybe a nap feels good. Don't feel guilty. If maybe
Totally.
just sitting down and doing nothing feels good. Don't feel guilty. I think it's like releasing all of that guilt. That's why
Guilt does not serve us. Come on.
that's why I said shameless self indulgence. So thank
Mm,
you guys for
thank
listening
you.
to Christina. I am just so grateful that you gave me an hour of your time. You will never get back, and it gave me so much
Okay.
joy. And you know what? We definitely are staying in touch because I just think you're absolutely fabulously amazing. And yeah, we've got a new friendship going. So, guys, don't forget to look for Christina Foxwell on Facebook. It's Talyard Christina Talyard Foxwell. And I'm going to have all these,
Yes.
not an easy thing to say. And Ignite. Now remember, guys, it's
Purpose.
ignitepurpose.com dot AU. So we've got
Yes.
our little Australian gal here. Make sure you add the
Yeah.
AU and then go find the Glass Angel on Barnes and Noble, and we're also on Amazon, she said as
Yes.
well. So
Yes.
I'll have all those links, a picture of her book also on her promo. And I just want to say, guys, do not hesitate to reach out to me if you didn't get all of that information, and I'll connect you with Christina. If you do want to find myself, go ahead and find
Yes.
me at lifecoachmaureen.com. My books also Barnes and Noble and Amazon. My dog is more enlightened than I am, and my dog is my relationship coach. And those books are very related to what Christine and I talked about today, where I tell my story and how I learned how to become my own best friend, how to be in alignment with truly unconditionally loving who I am and learning to recognize what wasn't serving me in this life that I came for. And it talks about dating and marriage and making your relationships better. So All good
Woohoo.
stuff. All good stuff. And it is on Audible. It is on Kindle as well. So if you guys like the electronic versions, I did not read the Audible, and I got feedback that people want me to do the Audible. So when I write my
Yes.
next book, I will do the Audible. But you guys get enough of my voice with the podcast every week. So you know what? Just enjoy the lady that did my book. She's amazing. So thank you, Miss Christina, and
Thank you, Maureen.
we just wish you well, and we will keep in contact. All right.
Thank you. Love and grace to everyone.
Thank you, love. Thank you, listeners, and have a fabulous day.